So you want to build a house? Welcome to the podcast. So you want to build a house, sponsored by Aurora Homes. I'm Scott Daly. I'm here with my co-host Keith Strom.
Hey, what's up?
And this episode, we are going to break down some of the main differences between sort of the different levels of builders. Exciting stuff. We just can't wait to bring this pod to you. We've got the 90-minute IPA on the table, so buckle up. Anything can happen.
Oh, I wish I opened it just now. That would have been perfect.
That's right. That would have made for better
go.
audio. We can probably download that sound off the internet or something.
Yeah.
We'll fix that in post-production. Like we have post-production or something. So
It's flowing now.
that's right. And it's enjoyable. There you go. So, but you're not here for us to drink beer. You're here for us to help you all get a little more educated and make a good decision about maybe building a new house. And so that's what we're excited about. So what we were going to talk about today is we're going to talk about sort of the different levels of builders. And I think this is one of the most complicated issues for people to sort out. And it's also one of the hardest to find is that when your values and the values of your builder don't align. And that is, something that was super important to you is not necessarily something that was super important to the builder you decided to build your house with.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're in the house and you've spent hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars and you then and only then realize it. So hopefully this podcast can help you sort out some of the differences between builders and how they function and what is important to them so that you can make sure that you're picking a builder that, aligns to you. And so we have taken all of the home builders in Southern Delaware and we have broken them into 3 easy categories. What are those categories, Keith?
Yeah, so we've got segment 1 is going to be production builders. So that's our first segment. Segment number 2 is a semi-custom builder. And then segment 3 is custom builder. And there's like blends of the builders, Sometimes a builder has a more semi-custom department, but their production is most of their business, right? So there's like blends of different stuff, but I think that pretty much covers everything.
Yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to get right to it. So let's talk about segment 1, production builders. These are, generally speaking, larger companies. They are giving you a pre-designed floor plan with some pre-designed options, and some of them have a lot of options. Some of them don't have a lot of options. And they're giving you some pre-ordained selections in terms of colors, flooring, cabinets, things like that. And again, sometimes they're offering you a lot of choices, and sometimes they're offering you a few choices. And so as much as we're not breaking it down, there's segments even with inside the production builders.
Yeah, totally.
But if you're looking at a builder and you ask them how many houses their company does in a year, and they're telling you something like up over 20, then you're really, whether you want to or not, you're dealing with a production builder.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe, Keith, you could sort of talk about some of the differences that you would find in construction with a production builder versus a semi-custom or a custom one.
Yeah, a production builder, probably the biggest advantage is speed. I mean, I think that production builders they have the ability to move so much faster because they just limit how much you can do to the house as a customer. So because they limit those options, they're able to move, let's say they have a particular model and they have package 1, 2, and 3. They're upgrades. You pick package 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now they know it's that floor plan. It includes package 1, 2, and 3. And it's boom, 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 boom. And there's no decisions to be made. They're not calling you, asking you, where that specific outlet that you added midway through construction needs to go or where you want it to go or anything like that. It's just very, very quick. So
right. And so that's one of the huge differences. And that is very well said. And it's funny is when anyone's building, they always want production builder speed regardless of the type of builder they pick.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I picked everything. Can you be done in 75 days? And it's like, yeah. What are maybe some of the pitfalls that come with production builder speed?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a downfall to everyone, but But for a lot of people, at least people that we talk to, we're kind of more in the semi-custom world, but people that we talk to want to make more choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the downfalls, in choosing a production builder, you don't get to make as many choices, whether that be color choices, structural changes. Literally, like if you wanted to add 6 inches to a room in an Aurora model, that would be a possibility for us.
Sure.
Whereas with certain builders, they might say, you could do the 2-foot bump out or no bump out at all.
Yeah, very true.
So,
and that's certainly that. And I think so when you walk into a production builder, some of the production builders are going to be obvious because included in production builders are the giant publicly traded companies. And so, you're going to see those big names. They are massive companies. They're doing tens of thousands of houses a year. And they're a production builder. And what I would say, and this is going to be true of all of these builders, is listen to what they're saying because they're communicating what are their values. And so, because what ends up happening to people, and this is the hard part with production builders, is everybody loves production builders pricing, but not everybody loves production builders quality. And then they kind of feel like it's the company's fault. So if you go out and you decide you're going to contract with a home builder that builds 60,000 houses a year, and there's builders that do that. There's builders that do a lot more than that. But the most important thing to you is to have a well-built, high-quality home. That builder probably didn't even mention quality in their sales pitch.
No, probably not.
And it's not that the house is not. It's not that it's a piece of crap. I don't want anyone to hear we're saying that. But the issue is that what they sold you on the convenience. They sold you on the low cost. They sold you on the speed. And then all of a sudden, when you get done with your house, you want quality. But you didn't buy quality. And, this is controversial, but I always say, it's not necessarily the builder's fault that you got into a house and, your walls aren't square. And you go to do something to your house and you find out that, square walls and straight hardwood are really complicated when the walls are out of square. And you're like, gosh, my builder sucks. And it's like, well, do they? Like, they didn't sell you straight walls.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just being aligned with what, as a customer, you should be aligned with what your builder is selling,
Right.
what they're selling you.
Right. And
your expectations should line up with what they sell.
And that's the important thing is everybody they want to pay production price, but they want custom quality.
There's a lot of people in our country that would be very happy to be in an affordable home no matter how plumb the walls are.
Right.
So it's like, are those builders wrong for building something that's not perfectly plumb? Or are they right because someone's willing to buy it,
right. And that's where I think it's just key to continue to listen to what they are saying. If the second thing out of their mouth they start talking about is the payment, the monthly payment that you're going to have with a certain down payment on the house, that there's nothing wrong with that because you want to know if you can afford it. But the builder is selling you on the price of the house. They're not selling you on the quality. If they don't want to walk you through and talk about the features or the layout or the design, then that's not what they're selling you on, and that's not what you're buying. And you just have to know because I think what you said is exactly right. There is a place, and people will be happy to get that. So if you just have to. That's this is going to be the common theme is listen to what the builder's telling you. So all right, next what's up next?
So next is semi-custom builders, segment number 2.
So a semi-custom builder is kind of like a little bit of a mix. They can be a little confusing sometimes. And this is where, I would put Aurora Homes as a semi-custom builder. And so there are elements to their build that are production, meaning they have set floor plans. They have pre-designed options with pricing for those pre-designed options. But they also have the ability to sort of veer off into what the customer exactly wants. Like you said, they want to move a wall 6 inches. They want to put a window in a place where there's no window shown. They want to do something different in their kitchen, some type of a layout or some type of finish, things like that, that you can take. It's almost like you sort of take their floor plan as sort of the base, but you can take it in any direction that you want. Is that you think that's?
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you have, let's say, so for us, you could take a fully pre-stocked plan that we've already picked everything out, all the structural options, whatever. And okay, so now you have a fully picked out house that is 0% custom. But there are people who want to customize, let's say 5% of the plan, or maybe 20% of the plan is custom. So, or maybe even more than that, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, virtually with us, I mean, we're custom in the fact that like you can customize just about everything in the house, but we also want to appeal. We also want to be, we also want to build into a certain like certain markets and stuff like that. Because when you get into custom, things take a lot longer because you've got to pick everything out and all of that. So we do have products that we try to pick out as well to streamline certain aspects of the process.
Yeah, and I think that was very well said. So the other thing I think you're going to find is that the standard features, the things that they are putting into the base of a house with a semi-custom builder are generally going to be a little bit nicer than what you're going to find in most of the production builders in terms of the cabinets and the flooring standards. And maybe some of the more basic elements of the construction, the windows, things like that are all going to be just, a step or two above what you're going to find in a lot of production builders. And if you're looking at the builders that are really selling on price, it's going to be more than a step or two above as well, right? Does you think that about covers that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and there's some semi-custom builders that focus more on price, and then there are some that don't. Like we're really focused on design. That's a big aspect of our homes. So we end up in that space when we're talking to people about our houses more than we end up in price per square foot or.
Right. That is very, very true. And so that's a great way. The other thing that you're going to be talking about with a semi-custom builder is cost. And generally speaking, a semi-custom builder is going to be more expensive than a production builder. But what you're buying is the opportunity to customize, and what you're buying is probably that higher level of standard features and the opportunity to upgrade those even further than you might get from a production builder. But all of that has a cost. You might be looking at semi-custom builders are not building on the same scale as the production builders. And so with all of that factored in, you're going to pay more. But again, it goes back to the main statement that you have to align your values with that of your builder. And if having the opportunity to customize and pick higher end finishes and higher end things and put those in your house isn't important to you, then a semi-custom build has no value to you. And you're going to look at the cost and you're going to say, I don't want to pay that much for a house because those are the things that are not important to me.
Right.
I mean, we do get those people. They come down here, they want a beach house. They want a place to sleep while they're not at the beach. And so is semi-custom a good fit for them? Probably not, because they don't care. And that's not what is important to them. And so, again, aligning what is important to you to what is important to your builder is a very important step in getting this stuff done. So, and so finally, our third category, does that even come on the microphone? This is a drum roll
pretty much.
on the table? Okay.
It is. It's picking it up, I think, a little bit.
Good. Well, I described it. So
drum roll, please.
That's right. What you get, you're getting what you pay for in this podcast.
Yeah.
So
this is a fully custom podcast.
It's a full custom.
So the next category is custom. That is the third segment.
Right. So custom homes are a very, very different animal. So I think the natural tendency is to say that these are three equal segments of the market. And what I would say is that production is a big segment of the market. So when you're talking about production builders, you're talking about, lower end finishes, very inexpensive new houses, all the way to, there are luxury production builders where the costs are going to be almost or equal to the semi-customs. And in some cases, almost or equal to some of the customs. It depends. But it's still in the production envelope. And then you have the semi-custom realm, and the semi-custom just doesn't get into that less expensive product. And then you have custom. And custom is going to be dramatically more expensive than just about anything you're going to find in production or in semi-custom in a lot of ways. And so you're talking about a design build most of the time. So they're going to draw your plans, and that could involve an architect. If you want to be able to control who builds your house. So a lot of times people want to build a custom home. They'll go ahead and get it drawn and designed, and then they'll give it to a number of different builders and sort of make their decision that way. Sometimes you'll decide you like a builder, and they'll have design build services, which most custom builders in Southern Delaware do. And that is something where they're working with the builder who helps them design the house and then gives them a cost. And there's really two ways that custom homes get priced. They either give you a fixed price and say, we'll build it for this, or they'll give you what's called cost plus. And they say, we'll build your house and it's going to be whatever it costs and plus our markup, whether it's, I don't know, 20, 30, 50, whatever their percentage is. And they're just going to put that on top and they're going to show you all the bills and that's going to be that. And so these are not budget friendly things. You know, so if
No.
you're on a tight budget and you want a custom house, you know, it could be you have a tight budget that's very large and then that'll work. But,
Yeah, that's the key, right? Everybody has a budget, but
right.
but if you have a budget that fits what your builder's selling is the question.
Right. And so that's sort of a key thing. So in custom houses, you're going to get a much higher level of finish. The houses, generally speaking, are bigger. And a lot of times the custom builders will have certain people that work on the house that are actually in-house, whether it's in-house carpentry, stuff like that, where they can really dial it in, you know? So that is a completely different world for than what you're finding even in the semi-custom and certainly in the production realm. And so what's important to the custom buyer is to have something that is unique and that is theirs, is to have something that is done at a very high level of quality throughout the entire house.
Yeah.
And so consequently, the investment is going to be far more substantial in terms of dollars, generally speaking, than you're going to have in other places. And that doesn't mean you can't design your own smaller custom house, but in terms of cost per square foot, if a one-off house is going to be a lot more expensive than anything that is pre-designed. So
Yep.
anything else on the custom world?
I think you pretty much covered it. Yeah. I mean, your price per square foot, if you want to look at it that way, is just it's going to be a lot more. I mean, you got to figure, you know, if you bought like, I don't know, a computer that was built by hand versus one that's built, you know, with stock parts by machines, it's a different process.
It's a different process.
So.
And there is a podcast. If you look through the list of episodes, we've talked about why cost per square foot is actually not usually the best way to compare builders.
Yeah.
Because it's never apples to apples. The short version of that is the standard features are different, the floor plans are different, and all of that impacts your cost per square foot. The only way to compare cost per square foot is to take the exact same house and give it to a couple of builders and get a price. And if they have the exact same house, they put the exact same stuff in the house, then you're going to get that is apples to apples. But once you get out of that realm, it doesn't really work. So wrapping up, this is not the longest podcast, but hopefully it's educational. The three different builder types are there's a lot of variation within those. But I would say the number one most important thing is to have a conversation with yourself or with whoever who's involved in making the decision to buy. If you have the conversation with yourself, don't have it out loud in public.
No, have it in, you know, I don't
in
know,
the shower.
in your
I
car.
mean, that'd be weird. Yeah, you know, because we care about our listeners, and we don't. If you're sitting, you know, in a coffee shop talking to yourself,
Yeah, I mean, just don't let
Right.
anybody see you.
if
But
people are staring,
yeah,
stop doing that. But just to have a conversation and say, hey, what's the most important thing? Keith, do you know off the top of your head what the biggest regret is with most people that decide to build a house after they build? Do you know what their biggest regret is? This is a trick question. This is unscripted.
their biggest regret is usually that they didn't spend money on some feature, that they didn't rope into their build the thing they really wanted.
Right. And so that's just part of it is if you don't align with the right builder, you're going to end up with regrets. And ironically, one of the biggest regrets is that, you know, gosh, I can't drop another 20 grand on the sunroom. I'm done spending money, blah, 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 blah. And then you get in your house and you're like, I really want that sunroom.
Yeah.
And then you call somebody to build a sunroom on the back of your house and it doesn't cost 20 grand to do. It costs 38.
You can't easily put it in the mortgage either.
And you can't roll it into your mortgage, and there it is. And then you're like, man, I really wanted that sunroom. And dang it, it's the worst.
Yep.
So anything else we need to summarize here?
I think we pretty much got it.
We
Easy peasy
have it.
to the
There
point.
You go. So align with your builder. This is just an easy, quick way to understand the differences between the builders. This is the So You Want to Build a House podcast. I'm Scott Daly.
I'm Keith Strom.
Have a great day.
Bye.